Welcome to our demonstration of Savant WMS. We're going to do a beginning to end, day in the life, do some receiving, do some movements in the warehouse, then pick and pack and get an order shipped in the system. So we're going to walk through all those processes and take a look at how Savant handles that. All right, so let's start with the fact that we've got this admin console here. We're not going to spend much time, but just to say that this is where supervisors and admins can come in and take a look at where's the inventory, how are the orders doing? Do I have anything that needs to be looked at? Or maybe I'm going to set up some new parameters or some new bin locations or something like that. All of that stuff is available through the admin console. And then over here on the right-hand side, I have a screencast of my handheld device, which today I'm using a Zebra TC21, and we're going to do the transactions from the handheld. So we're going to kind of bounce back and forth between these two guys, and let's start with receiving. All right, so on the receiving end, first thing we need to do is potentially, if we've got a bill of lading, a packing slip, something like that, we can enter it here. If not, we can go straight off to the purchase order. And in this case, I happen to have a barcode for my PO, so we will scan that. It then comes up with a default for printing a license plate label to a particular printer. And I have one in my receiving area for my garden warehouse. And now I can move forward. And it's asking me for a default bin location for receiving, which I'm just calling that straight. You can have this be anything you like, and the guys can actually overwrite it during receiving if they want to. Next up, we'll deal with the product. So we might want to just scan what we have. We might want to choose from the drop-down list of the items on the PO. See, I've got two different items, quantity 50, quantity 500. I'm going to go ahead back up here and scan the item that I want to receive. This could be a UPC barcode. This could be the item number itself. It just depends on what you have on the box. Could be a GTIN. Any of those kind of cross-references are fine. And it's telling us now we've got this 50 of this quantity on the PO, and remaining to be received is 50. I'm going to go ahead and receive, let's just say 10 of these. And now I've got a license plate. And it's generated that number 10 here at the top, and I can continue with my receiving. Maybe I've got another pallet of this particular item. I want to scan that and receive another 10. Now I've got another license plate, and maybe this time let's go ahead and receive a different item. And this is some grass seed sun and shade mix. We're going to go ahead and these are in bags. We're going to go ahead and receive, maybe there's 40 of these on a pallet. So we'll go ahead and do that as a license plate. And I've got another license plate ID here. When I'm finished with my receiving, I can exit and back ready to receive another PO. So the first thing we want to do in this process is scan the license plate label that was printed during that receiving process, and we will then put it in a location. So we'll scan our license plate, and then we'll scan where we want to put it, and that has now been moved. The second way we can put something into a location would be with a directed put away. In this case, we'll choose this put away option, scan our license plate. The system will then suggest a location where this should be placed, and we can then go to that bin location and scan it, or we can override it with a different one. So I'm going to go ahead and accept what was suggested, then confirm the quantity, and the system now puts that into that location. Different rules can be put in place for this directed put away process, but generally it's going to be try to fill up the pick location, and then if it's already full, let's put it into an empty overstock location. We can take a look at our inventory by doing an inquiry on the item. So we can just scan and see where it is in the building. And here we've got a list of all the different bin locations, the quantities as they stand based on what location in the warehouse and the date it was received. So there's a lot of detail here, total of 217 of this item. We have a lot of inventory. And you can note that we've got the different license plates listed here as well. So each one of those would represent basically a pallet. Now let's move ahead with doing a cycle count on one of our pick locations. First thing we need to do is scan the location. Then we'll scan the item that's in that location. And now we'll count that and tell the system what we found in that location. So here we'll say we have 42. And the final step then is to hit the save button. The system has come back and told us that we have a variance from what it thought was in that location versus what we just counted. So our choice now is to count it a second time, confirm, yes, indeed, I have 42, and save it one more time. And at that point, that quantity will be the final, and the inventory is updated as of that moment. A couple of things to note. This is a blind cycle count in that it doesn't tell you how many are actually there. It's also a dynamic cycle count where the system is constantly moving. There's people moving product everywhere, and we don't have to freeze the inventory. We're able to go up to that location, and no one can put anything into it or take anything out of it while we're counting. For those few minutes, it has to be silent so the count can be taken and saved. Once that's saved, normal activity can continue, but it's on a bin by bin level basis. So it's not like you have to freeze a whole group of inventory in every bin location, stop everything, do the counting, and then start up again. This one is much more dynamic. Just wanted to make that point. The next thing we want to do is pick an order. We have several orders here that are in various statuses. These have been printed and ready to go for picking. So let's take a look at the details of one of those. This will be coming from the Acumatica system. And we will have 2 items to be picked. All right, so let's go ahead with our process. Take a look at the scanner. We'll go to the picking option. We will scan the order number that we want to pick. So that should be on a pick ticket. You can also go paperless and just choose the next one in line. It then takes all the line items and it's telling us where we should be going to pick these items. So we see first we need to go to B1, 09, and 0001. So we'll go find that location, walk over there and scan it. Next up, we need to scan the item. So this case, we'll scan, let's just say the wrong item. It will give us an error message. When we get the correct item, it will be accepting that. And then notice how it says that we've picked one and we have a balance of 1. So that scan is set up in a grocery store style, scan each unit and it counts as 1 as you go. This is an option in the system. You can also make it set up so that you can put in the quantity instead of scanning each individual item. And you can even put in a threshold. So if it's more than a certain quantity, you type that quantity in. If you need less, you can just scan each one and have it count for you. So we need our second one here. Let's go ahead and scan it. And now it's moving on to my next bin location. If I happen to scan the wrong bin location, it will give me again another error message telling me I'm in the wrong place. Scan the right one. Now we'll scan the item and it should just count it as 1 here. We only need 1 in this item. And now my order is fully picked. and I'm ready to go with the next one. So that's the process of picking. After the order's picked, we should be able to then pack it. So let's go ahead. There's two ways to do the packing. Just depends on how you want to handle things. We can do it on the handheld device with the outbound QC, where we can choose a printer if we want to. And this would be for printing the UPS, FedEx labels. We can choose a packing lane if you want to identify multiple packing lanes, or you can bypass that like I've done here. And now let's scan our order that we want to pack. And now the system is basically wanting a secondary verification of what we're going to pack. Maybe we're going to pack several boxes. We can scan the items and then tell it to save that as a box or move on to the next one. So we're going to go ahead and scan our first item. This was our quantity of 1. Then we will see the list here. There's remaining 0. There's 1 that was captured, and we can then go on and scan additional items. And I'm going to go ahead and save this one as its own box. And now I'm going to continue. I'll scan the next one. And now that order is complete, and it's telling me to scan the next order. So that's a quick way to scan and put things into boxes. Okay, so now we can take a look at our order that we just picked and packed. And we can see some things like the date and time stamps. We can see the item numbers here that were picked, the quantities showing picked here. As we scroll over, it shows what's packed. And we can also see what boxes it got put into. All right, so another option would be to take that order, and instead of doing QC verification, we'll go through and pack it using the main admin screen using this packing function on this menu. Okay, from the packing menu here, we're able to go in and set up a few things. The idea here is we've got a station, a fixed station, no handheld device, where we're going to have a barcode printer, a scale, and the ability to print packing slips on a laser printer, something like that. So we will start by setting up our packing station. I'm standing at packing 01. That will help us with what printers we have available to us and scales. Then we'll scan the order number that we want to pack. Then we'll populate here with all of the line items. It will ask us to validate the date, which is fine. We've got that. And we can now choose a carton. So you can define different carton sizes and get those assigned. I'm going to pack a large priority box, or maybe it's a custom box, 14 inches. And the DIMs will come up here. You can modify those if it's a cut down kind of a box or a custom box that you're working on. We can engage the scale. I don't have one right now, so let's just say this is going to be 15 pounds. And I've got my order here. This is a different one than what we packed on the handheld. And we can come in here, and now we've got a few choices. We can scan each item, or we can just enter in how many we're putting into that first box. So here, I'm going to put these 2 units into one box, and I'm going to probably have 2 boxes in this order, so I'm going to update that here. I can put in insurance if I need to, but the idea is I would then save that box, and then I can move on to the next one where I can update this as well and change the weight, maybe change the box size. It's a little bit smaller. Okay. Then we'll save that box. Now that one is completed. And what that does, as soon as the boxes are saved, it's going to print out the appropriate shipping label. This can be done on the handheld version or on the full screen version here. So we've got tracking numbers that are going with this particular order. Now if we go back to our open order details, we can see that both orders that I had processed are now shipped. And that sends back to the ERP system with all of the appropriate information. Thanks for sitting with me on this demo. I hope you enjoyed it.